"You can't do this." Princess S protested fervently as she was dragged by her captors from the Axetiniamida. "Actually, Princess," High Admiral El Clown crooned with a condescending smirk, "as it happens, you're right. We can't fire the quantum collapses without the entire galaxy returning the favour on our planets. 1,000-fold, if however say, a Class 6 Death Worlder were to infiltrate our ship and fire the missiles instead, then nobody can do a thing." His eyes went wide and her pale blue skin turned white with horror. "You don't mean that's right?" Iluklam exclaimed as he threw open the doors to a massive auditorium full of cheering, jeering and bloodthirsty Axetinin. He advanced to the centre of the auditorium as SAA. Captors dragged her to one of two podiums in front of the grandstand that Iluklam was marching up. He spun grandly as the assembled Axetinium's cheers and applause reached a fever pitch, only to suddenly go silent as Iluklam motioned for quiet. He pointed imperiously at WW. "You Princess EA, by order of Axetinium High Command, are being given the authority to command the targets of up the Axetinium Armada's 4,600 quantum collapse missiles." The crowd roared again, and W felt her twin heart sink. A single quantum collapse missile was enough to obliterate an entire solar system. 1,000 would be enough to demolish over half the populated planets in the galaxy. 4,000 was simply unthinkable. When had they even had time to build that many? "You will share this authority with only one other person," Iluklam declared as he threw his hand out to point to the suddenly spotlit other podium, where a scruffy and unamused bipedal sapient with skin that looked almost as pale with horror as AES. This must be the so-called Class 6 Death Worlder. Its skin was pale with horror, she thought, but its face looked completely placid. If it wasn't for the situation, AA would have even dared to say they looked bored. "You poor soul," she thought quietly, "you must not even understand what's going on. By order of the Galactic Council and Axetinium High Command, all quantum collapse missiles must be destroyed within the next cycle. As you all know, there is no safe way to disable a quantum collapse missile, so we entrust this sacred duty for the peace of all worlds to Princess S." And he blinked and looked at the Death Worlder, clearly having not even bothered to learn his name. "Name's George." The Death Worlder called calmly. EE nearly jumped out of her podium in surprise. The Death Worlder understood them perfectly. "George," Iluklam proclaimed hastily, trying to cover his slip-up. "We grant this highest honour and most sacred duty to Princess E. and George of Planet 3, System 861,945. His twin hearts skipped a concerted beat. System 861,945 was a completely illegal non-entry zone because of how dangerous its occupants were. Now, Iluklam chuckled. "For the fun part, for every 60 Dinescos the missiles are not fired, we will kill 100 of your species, and we will continue to do so until all the missiles are fired or all of your people are dead." He laughed for a moment to let that sink in, and IW's eyes turned in horror to the targeting chart on the podium before her. A single push would decimate an entire world, but without any way of knowing which planets were which, she could wind up wiping out trillions of lives even if she pushed carefully. Alternatively, Iluklam drawled, "You can blow up the other targeter's world to save your own." Two worlds were suddenly highlighted on the targeting chart with callouts revealing the Death Worlder's home planet and her own. Iza's hearts ached the sight of her familiar beloved pink little planet, floating so peacefully, home to so many who probably had no idea that their fate had just been thrown into the hands of one of the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. She looked up as tears started to streak down her face and saw the two planets on large screens scattered around the arena. She was cut off by the computers suddenly blaring an alert that the missiles were being fired. E's jaw dropped and then hit the ground as she saw the number of missiles being fired. All of them. Then she realised they were all locked onto the Death World. She turned in shock to the now very smug-looking Death Worlder, who had just unloaded half a galaxy's worth of ultimate ordnance at his own planet. "You really had no idea who you were messing with, did you?" George asked nonchalantly, a very small but disproportionately disturbing grin on his face.